indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Susan Lane, who's here to talk to us about, did I get your name right? Yeah, please go ahead, Sam.
Okay.
Who's here to talk to us about general code, and the time is yours.
Thank you, Mayor Brown and Council, for allowing me to talk about this. Mayor Brown contacted me and asked about codification for the city of Dixon. So I did a little research and found that, in your packet, I put all this in here, just some basic information. I found that Dixon had a municipal code that was initially published by Sullivan Publications. It was published in 2006, and it was last updated in 2011. Was the last time any of these ordinances were sent in. That was actually just like supplement number 2. So it's right out of date, basically your code is. But just a little over a year ago, in October of 2016, Mike Perry, sorry, he used to be with Sullivan. General Code and Sullivan Publications merged in 2013. And they merged mainly for the online product that General Code was available to offer. So once that happened, we have a paper copy of your code on our shelf. We've never put it into any digital format yet because we hadn't heard anything or gotten any supplements done for Dixon since 2011. So I found a proposal that Mike had provided Dixon in late 2016. It just expired, that proposal, in April of 2017. That proposal was for recodification of the full code. Like I had told Mayor the other day when I met with him, we can add the online product for a year at no charge, and that doesn't start until after your code is completed. The price of that proposal in 2016 was $8,000, and if we redid that proposal, we're not going to let the price go up. I'll just tell them we want to leave it exactly the same. We usually depends on how much you legislate, and you guys haven't done a big zoning code or big building or subdivision or anything like that, so I can't imagine you're going to have that many more pages to put into your code since Mike looked at it in 2016. Okay? So, with beginning the code project, what we need is source materials. So what we'll use is your municipal code that you have right now. It was updated through 2011, and then any ordinances that are code related that came into play since that time, to put them all into your code book. We do start with a model code, and what that is 7 titles that you already have ordinances on, but it is updated every year per state statute, the model code is. So we take your laws and information that you already have in your book, it stays there, and it's updated also and put together with state statute, so you're up to date with the state. Our model code is updated every year per state statute. So if we take your information now and the ordinances that you have known that, put them into that code, your code will also at that point be up to date with state statute. Okay? I just printed off some process outline. There's usually a preliminary telephone conference. You decide who is the main contact here at the city for the code project itself. And the next thing they do is an organizational analysis. They'll take all of the city's legislation and put an analysis together and basically send you what looks like a table of contents to show where your laws and ordinances are going to go into the code and how they're organized in there. Okay, so that it makes sense with you. Once you do that and review your organizational analysis, you send it back to us. After that, the manuscript's prepared. The manuscript is gone over. It's actually putting your code book together at that point. And it's analyzed by our editorial staff and our attorneys that are on staff. We'll go through your entire code and make sure that everything is the way it should be for the city of Dixon. Once they do that, they'll send you that manuscript. It's pretty big. It's just basically questions. This is what we found here. This is what state statute says. This is what we found in the other side part of the code. What would you like your end product to say? Okay, as an example, sometimes we'll have a code that in one section of the code, because of how old it was or how long ago something was done, it might say city marshal, where in another section of the code it actually says chief of police. And basically, so that, I mean, that's just a simple example, but we'll ask you, in your code, do you want to call this person the marshal, or do you want to call them the chief of police? And at that point, what your answer states, we change that everywhere to the same thing throughout your whole code. So you know basically what position you're talking about. Then you'll get a final draft, and once it's all completed and finished, and you're up to date with state statutes and your code's done, you get one ordinance that you will pass, and that adopts that whole book. Everything, the changes that you've made throughout the whole process and everything that you've done is adopted one time with one ordinance. So you're not writing a bunch of different ordinances to change your code book. Okay? I also, the mayor asked me about our online product. So we do have an eCode 360 is what we call it. We have 3 different levels of eCode. And all of the features are listed here. When all of our E-code levels have what we call new laws, so once you pass an ordinance, it doesn't matter if it's a code ordinance or not, you can send it to us, and it's automatically posted under a section called new laws. So a week later, somebody asks, you know, hey, this passed the other day, you can point to that and show them where they can find that. If it is a code ordinances, they sit there until you do a supplement, until you update your code. Okay? A supplement is, you take ordinances, pretty much a city the size of Dixon would possibly do this one time a year. It basically depends on how much you legislate as to what your schedule is for supplementing. And it's also up to you, because it's the same cost, no matter how often you do it. It's $18 a page. So it doesn't matter if you are normally on a year schedule, but something was voted on, an ordinance was passed, and you decided you wanted it to go into your code right away, all you have to do is let us know, and it goes in there. With the online product, it's posted as soon as the work is done and the changes are made, and then the paper copies are sent. In the proposal, I think it was included just 3 code books. That's all you have to have for the state. If you get the online product, you already have, our online product, you can access anywhere you have the internet. You can get to the city of Dixon's code. There's a link. Do you have a website? No. Even if you don't have a website, there's a link. You can share it with your residents. You can post it on Facebook, the link to get to your code, because it's actually on our servers. And it's also listed on our website with all the rest of our Missouri e-codes that are in place. Okay? And then we also, I included a performance and payment schedule. I included this because I wanted to tell you that for a project this size usually takes 15 to 18 months. Sometimes even longer. It depends on when we get your paperwork back, you know, and then we have a certain number of days to get our part done. A lot of times cities, they're busy, the people are busy, you don't have time, you can't get through it. It's okay. The price doesn't change. It doesn't go up. Nobody's penalized for that. You just take your time because you want your code to be what you were expecting it to be at the end. So we break it down into 5 payments, and they're based on the process that you're in as far as putting your code together goes. Right? And since it takes about that amount of time, you can actually budget the whole thing over 2 budget periods. A lot of cities do that. They'll split it in half because they know it's going to take 15 to 18 months. You can budget half one year, you can half the other year. And then whatever the price is on your contract will be 20% of that on each 5 payments. Okay? And then I just put some future services, the supplemental services. It does state in there it's $18 a page. That's a going rate pretty much for most codifiers right now. We do offer a code watch, and what that is, when we update our copy of the model code, we also send out a code watch list, which will list all of the state statutes that were in place that affect local governments. And we'll send that to you at no charge. So you can look through that at that point and decide if you want to make any changes for ordinance then. We also offer a future statutory update. That's $7.95 a year. We'll update your code automatically. So even if you signed up for that, we're not going to just do it. You know, we're going to send out and let you know, do you want to pay for the $7.95 to have all the statute updates. But you'll have the code watch, so you can look through that yourself. Some may not affect you as and others might. So, but we do send that out to all of our clients every year, so they can see what the state of Missouri has done to affect their local government. So, do you have any questions?
When did you all merge?
2013. We also, if you have an online code, we also have a phone app on a tablet that you can access anywhere. Your phone on your phone, on a tablet. It's an app. We have iOS and then the Android also.
You mentioned that you host the code. Is there a problem with this as well, or can it only be hosted on this?
Our e-code is only hosted on our site. You can, make a copy of it, PDF wise, we do offer a PDF copy if you wanted to have one of those. There's a charge for a CD with the PDF on it every year, or any time that you supplement, you have to pay the charge to get this, the supplement. On the CD.
Yeah.
It says you included the supplement of $18 a page for a period of 3 years. Is that correct? Why only 3 years?
I used to be a deputy clerk at the city of O'Fallon, that price isn't finished. They just do that, just in case.
I mean, it's not you recommending recodification every 3 years.
No, we don't recommend recodification until like 10 to 15 years is when we say. If you're updating your code, supplementing it with new ordinances every year, you're good for 10 to 15 years.
So if I'm understanding what you're saying, your $8,000, you're gonna sit down and start at Title I and go all the way through.
It'll be
Completely,
a whole review of the whole code.
a complete review.
Total recodification.
You're not just gonna
The new ordinances.
codify and put the ordinances that they not have in the book.
No.
There's way more to that.
Yes,
Okay.
they'll start from the beginning, almost like you're starting, the only difference is you already have that code in place, so we don't have to start at ordinance 1. We can start with the last ordinance that was included in that book. We also start at the beginning of the code.
Jesse, were there any ordinance passed in the last 3 years?
That's 3 years, yes.
All of them were?
I know. I also told her, she had heard those numbers to her this week, and that way she can serve it.
You got 35.
Pardon?
35 that haven't been codified. Starting in ordinance 524. 523 was the last one in 2011.
That was, yes, that was in 2011. When Mike came in 2016, he included some of those in the price for that proposal that was there. That's why I'm not gonna raise the price of the proposal. I'm gonna tell the home office to leave it the same. So, the only thing I'm gonna include in there, if you are interested, is to have the online e-code free for a year. So you can at least see if you like it, if you wanna keep it.
Is that user friendly?
Very user-friendly.
That's always good.
Like me. Yes. And you have me, we have an office in St. Louis City, so I'm not that far away. I can come down, I train anybody on e-code who wants, because I think e-code is fantastic.
Do you have maybe an online tutorial, or?
We do, I gave everybody a card, and our website's on there. And on our website, it's, we have an e-code library, all of our e-codes are listed there. So if you go, it will show you a map of the United States, click on Missouri, and all the Missouri e-codes will be right there. So you'll see some of your neighbors' codes.
Okay.
So for instance, let's say like the water rates, sewer rates, which I know they're in that book, are not right. Well, I know that. So that's something that you would come by, highlight and say, what are the new rates? What
That's
are
the type of
present rates?
question they're gonna ask you, are these rates still what you're charging for water and sewer, liquor licensing, business licenses, all of that. So that can all be updated at the same time when your code is completed.
So with Eco 360, I see here listed, it says sample legislation, multi-code search, for those that are curious, it's on the 4th page.
That
Could you
is a-
explain what that is?
Yes, in standard E-code, we offer a multi-code search where you can search by,
Would anyone like to see my copy of the,
here, take mine.
Terry, take this one too? That'd be nice.
You can search by state, type of government, your zip code, so far from your zip code. You put the information in, and then it will show you cities based on what you've requested. It's by the type of government, the population, the county, the state, the city itself, you know. Most of the time, when I was using it, I searched by zip code and put so many miles out. I knew that that was gonna be in the general area of the city that I worked for. And what it does is it pulls cities up that are in that area, and then you highlight the cities that you want to look at their code, and then you can, takes to another page, you type in a search word. So if you were wanting to, a big one up in the St. Louis area, and it's chickens. If you were wanting to allow backyard chickens.
Farm animal chicken,
Yes.
just raising and growing, okay.
Right, you can put that search word in, and then it will pull up every code or ordinance that a city has on that site that has to do with that. So you're not, rewriting anything, you can use their verbiage and their information to write your own ordinance.
Huh, so it's kind of like a tool, like to aid us in our making good legislation.
Exactly. So then if you click on one of them and you go there, you're in their code then. So you're looking at their code and what their code says. And the standard also has the download to Word. So if you were making changes, you can download it to Word. You're not retyping anything from the beginning. Which downloads.
Would anyone in the audience like to, there's a couple of these informational flyers, would anyone like to see those?
So with that search, as the mayor said, for instance, nuisance ordinance. Maybe they want to revamp it, make it more in detail. From what I'm getting from your saying, you could punch in nuisance ordinance, look at different cities, see what theirs are, and you'd have those to look at that you might be able to use, might not want to.
Right.
Just like you said.
Reword it and make it your own, but you have the information then at your fingertips of
That's,
what your
that's,
neighbors or
that's
other
quite,
people are
that's
doing.
something,
That's wonderful.
yeah.
Will we also get opinion on, say, some of the articles in some of the ordinances that are passed? Say, they can evaluate and say this article just doesn't quite meet state standards, or best practices are to, et cetera, et cetera.
That's exactly what those do, because the people who are working on your code know Missouri laws and Missouri codes. I mean, they work on, we have almost 300 here in the state. So
What about laws that are absent? Would we also get an opinion on that?
if they find that something's missing that you should have based on state statute,
Then they'll also advise on
yes,
that.
they let you know that.
Would a template be provided so that we would be able to work off of that template?
To write an ordinance.
Like to, like,
If
as
you're-
we're going through it, will they provide
You won't actually be
assistance?
writing ordinances. You might write some ordinances, within the 15 months to 18 years. Those ordinances won't be included in your final code. Yes, we can offer templates for any type of ordinance.
So it's an update as we go through the whole process, we update, we fix, and then we end up with a final product where our code matches state.
While you're going through the process, you're not gonna fix anything that's in, like, when you're going through your manuscript and answering the questions or seeing what they think you should do, you won't write an ordinance on that right then. You'll decide at that point with that manuscript what you want. They'll have basic specific questions in there, and comments. You'll write in there on that book, while you're going through it, make notes. There's places for you to answer questions. There's also multiple choice answers. You won't write that ordinance then. That choice that you make will then be put into the code book, and you'll adopt it with one adopted ordinance.
Do we get any true or false as well?
Kind of.
Just wondering what kind of test it was. I believe there's a question in the crowd for you.
What would the difference be between that and Google? Can't you Google anything and read through it, and it possibly gives you updates all the time of the same questions that are being asked of your...
For a multi-code search? It's, yes, I'm sure you can Google it, and you'll probably get some codes come up if you're asking a specific code question
Right, so Google would be the same,
as a multi-code search.
yes.
Well, what I've done is I've started with Google and say Missouri government, or let's say a subject, and you might go to Missouri.gov, and you go to the Fort Platte City Law, then start looking through that. So sometimes it takes a little bit of looking to find what you're really after, if that makes any sense.
The codes you're gonna find in the multi-code search are gonna look exactly like your codes. They're gonna be numbered the same and everything else, pretty much. Most state of Missouri numbers their codes the same way.
You keep state statute in compliance with those, but you're also talking about compliance with the state regulations for public service commission and stuff like that for utilities, which are absolutely impossible to search on Google. I would remind you as someone who tries to track it down on a daily basis.
Well, thank you. Are there any other questions from the board or from our citizens? Thank you so much for coming.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you.
At this time, we're going to move on to our workshop for the courts. And Judge Ward, if you could please lead us through this
Mr. Mayor,
budget.
council citizens. Which got first?
Could you say that again?
What do you have?
We have a 2018-2019 court budget.
A worksheet? Or you want the?
He just has the worksheet, that's all he has.
Okay.
It is
Would anyone like this? No. She might. Just a minute, I don't think she's.
Want to make sure that we're on the right page.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to look at my motion?
No, okay. If I can, I'll bounce back to the 17 and 18. On the first line item, 01-15-5,000, right? It says salaries. If you look 2 years ago, budgeted was 9,643. That was half of the city administrator Kathy's pay. I paid half, and Marshall paid half.
Do you know why that changed?
Well, she moved over to Cordova because she was doing dispatch / board.
So she was only a part-time court clerk, and she went to being a full-time?
No, she was a full-time.
Sure, the Senate bill change required her to move separate.
Yeah.
So we had to eliminate her from the dispatch and make her sole court clerk. That's why we quit splitting the cost and he picked up the bill.
Okay.
Uh,
So from last year, I see that the last year budget's at $15,643, and the current budget jumped to $30,000.
245.
So why did that happen?
That picked up the other half.
Oh, that was picked up, okay. So
Yeah, that's picking up the other half of her pay. Matter of fact, that was added, correct me if I'm wrong, last year with her? Or, no, 2 years ago it was added. Half of her pay was added to the budget.
I thought it was last year.
That was last year.
No, I said
Please
half.
please remember, I'll only talk about positions and not any type of personnel. Just keep the positions on.
Okay, the clerk's position was half of her pay. That was
Okay.
included, all right, which came up current budget is 30,245. 5,300, matching FICA Medicare, which would change, I guess, this year.
Probably will change, slightly, not a whole lot.
And then your loggers
So change.
change.
So, Judge Ward, if I can ask you, are you estimating the same budget as the current budget, same for next year as the current budget? So another $30,245?
No, that's for salaries?
Mm-hmm.
No, I would like to give the court clerk $1 raise an hour, which would affect you from it's about $2,080 a year. So we're looking at 32 offhand. Well, 30,312. Is that correct, ma'am? So you got your calculator on that.
Having calculation.
Oh,
How much did you say?
$2,080 on top of 30,245.
Judge Ward, have you thought about any types of plans as far as covering for your court clerk?
You want to discuss that now?
I just want to know if you have any plans or if that needs to be a future discussion.
Future discussion, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor.
If you were to work that in the budget, could you make an estimate though,
About $800.
for the entire year?
Yeah.
So just $800 more?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, FICA Medicare, I see that last year, it seems like were these estimates off? Because I see the estimates and then how much was expended.
Well, that's where I got confused because I'm looking at my budget, the current budget. The numbers don't match.
Yeah, we clearly, the current budget was $550, and last year's budget was $550. Last year we expended about $1,430.34. And then this year, so far we've expended $1,559.73. That match FICA or Medicare is just gonna be a percentage of the salary, not,
Yeah.
but just going to be. So, do you have an estimate of what that's going to be? for
No,
your-
I don't, because I don't do FICA. Mr. Fleming does regulatory.
It's gonna be at least 1,600, so. And then the laggers. Laggers and loggers, I've heard of both ways. Loggers, okay. So with loggers, do you have an estimate for that, Judge?
No, I don't. The estimate, I don't. I have no estimate.
And it looks like the same thing happened in the budget last time too, where we have this very small amount, but in actuality,
Sure.
has to, yeah, go ahead.
That's based on prior.
Yeah,
If you look, she was part court salary, part police salary. Loggers and FICA is a percentage of your pay, just like your taxes.
yeah.
So that was a small percentage. Now that it's a combined pay coming out of court, that FICA and loggers increased in that court budget.
So that may be the case.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That may
Part
be
of
the
that was
case.
coming out of mine.
Sure, and that may be the case, but it looks like it just didn't get updated.
Correct.
Budgeted, so at least go with,
But there's no real way to estimate the actual FICA down to the dollar. I mean, that's gonna vary from payroll to payroll.
Depending on how many days, how many hours.
yeah, let's just do an average. Sure. So I would suggest for now, and we'll get our numbers run, because it sounds like we need two separate sets of numbers. We need both numbers, either if there's just one court clerk, or and then another set if he adds this to his budget of $800 for when a court's done. So we're looking at two sets here. So green flag just wrote down, and this we'll go back and look at after we crunch some our numbers for the match. I just wrote down 1,600 just to estimate for the.
Probably estimate a little 10% or so.
Just so that there's an
You're
estimate.
gonna have plus or minus variance.
And then we'll need to run the hard numbers after, on both sets. Go on from there. Judge, for court dues and subscriptions.
Okay, court dues and subscription, but I was budgeted $800. It shows expended year-to-date, $1,866.44. Having that said, there's an issue of separating, because education expenses, mine in mine in the court clerks, administrators mine was 325 and 200 for the court clerk, which gave you $525, which was legal education expense, but it was all added on the court dues and subscriptions.
So what you're saying is this line item needs to be renamed to include education in it?
No, education expenses in there, sir.
So, yeah, 2 lines, okay, I do see education expense, so.
And also, boarding, the travel is included in there. Everything was put and withdrawn from one line item. It wasn't separated.
Travels don't very much.
Yeah,
I can see that.
it's mine too. But it wasn't separated, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's why it looks like
I see that,
the
then I see
court
the
has
zeros.
spent so much.
Right, but then on education expense you have 0, on travel
Yeah.
expense you have 0, okay. So what is your estimate for court dues and subscriptions?
Court dues
Not
and-
including the other stuff.
Am I going to pay, not excuse me, I'll rephrase that. Is the court going to pay the summon online? So we have
What do you mean by
online.
the summon online? Explain that just a little bit.
We have online. You can go online, the defendants or litigants can go online and look at their case. See where it's at, if there's a warrant out for their arrest or whatever, state statute clearly calls that we have to have one. And it's $1,000, if I'm not mistaken, a year.
And this is, we're supposed to have this system? We're
Yeah.
supposed to have this system?
We have that system.
Oh, we have that, okay.
Yes, we have it. Is what I'm saying is that going to be included on the budget, on the court's budget? Or is that going to be included on the summer budget?
It should be, I see what you're asking, it should be divided up, so courts.
Yeah.
It should be divided up, it should be included on the court side, because it is a court expense.
Yeah, plus the court has summit for regular summit for court cases and stuff. So, what was that, sir, was it $300 or $600 a year? Do you remember? I don't remember.
The total summit runs around $3,200, something like that, and what we do is break it down, divide it by 4, and that's what we pay 1/4 of it, and then administration pays the other 3/4 of it.
Okay, but it's not on the budget, is what I'm alluding
I think we need to add it into the budget.
Yeah.
Account for it in the budget.
Was that would be part of the court dues and subscriptions.
So with that being added, what would you, well, let me ask you this, what else do you use as far, what else falls under court dues and subscriptions?
Well, also, there is, we haven't did it, but we need to do an update on the statutes, on the traffic laws, which I think the marshal, do you have a copy of the new traffic laws on?
I think that was part of what they were talking about.
Yeah.
The codification.
I'm not aware of any new traffic laws.
17, there's a new one out.
That's before.
No, sir.
Huh?
State bill 491.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that if we were to do an update of our code, that this would solve
That'd be
that
part of the
problem.
codification.
Yeah, that would solve some of that.
Okay.
Again, education expense, oh, I'm sorry.
No, well, just what would you estimate as far as court dues and subscriptions?
Actually, only the summer,
Only summer.
that's it.
Judge, isn't there a fee for Kathy to be part of the Court Clerks Association or something like that?
No, that would be in the education service, the education portion.
Okay.
I understand where you're breaking it down, though, with the going to education.
Yeah, we're pretty down 12, 50. Or less. Okay, so Judge, please continue. Boarding expense.
Okay, voting expense, 2 years ago, we put the boarding expense in the court budget for $4,000. It helped the marshal board city prisoners.
Okay.
Then we upped it to 4,000, up to 8,000.
I see that.
Last year, it was transferred over to the marshal's budget.
It was taken off of court's budget completely and just added to my prisoner upkeep.
So could we just
You can wipe it off.
eliminate this
Yeah.
line item?
Yes, I'm assuming.
Moving on to education expense.
Education expense, again, we're looking at 425.
Total?
Yeah, total of this year. It could go up $50 next year, I don't. So I wanna,
I see the estimate. Do you know why the estimate was $750 the current and last year, and then 2 years ago was $700? And it's great that it's less, if you're estimating less. I'm just curious as to, is there a reason why, or is that just a,
no, that's what, just was budgeted.
and you would prefer that we estimate how much?
I would estimate, let's go 500. Because I don't think education expense would be that high.
It sounds like this year you said you added up to 425, is that what you said earlier?
Yeah, this year we only spent $425.
Well, good job on staying below the budget.
Well, you see, I'm well below my budget. Office supplies,
Can we go to legal fees?
Oh,
It says
legal
legal fees.
I
court.
jumped that.
That's okay.
Legal fees, that is for the city prosecutor, $12,540 a year. He or she receives $1,000 per month for legal, for being a prosecutor at court, and $540 is the travel expenses.
Okay, how many hours on average does a prosecutor?
Well, that all depends. Under that $12,540, it used to be under Rector and Allen, if the court, such as the judge or the city prosecutor, called them up for a case or whatever, that $1,000 is part of it.
Okay.
So, in a nutshell, we was getting advice for that $1,000.
Okay.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I don't even know when that $12,540 went into effect.
Okay.
Do you know, Ms. Dozier?
the last budget we did.
Well, no, it was way before that. It's always been, I've been a judge for 6 years, and it's been $12,540 for 6 years. Do you?
Forever.
No.
It was that price in '98.
Do you?
Oh, that's pretty close to forever.
Okay.
Stop it.
Well, with the way we're doing it now, we need
Until
to
the
just
last
basically divide it up, and let's estimate 12,000 on reports, and the rest can be estimated when we do the city budget administration. Now, office supplies for the court,
Office supplies went down to $500. That, last year's expenditure, $1,632. We had to get the court clerk, administrator, a new computer, and the court paid for it. That's why it's so high. This year we only spent, I think this is wrong though,
92.
$92.99.
I was gonna say, that's a pretty good cut.
Huh?
That's a pretty good cut.
But swore to myself I'd be
Frugal?
within,
Yeah.
um,
You wanna do that again next year?
no. What?
We'd like you to.
There's
Maybe take it down just a little bit more.
I was budgeted $500.
Yes.
I asked for several things, I couldn't get it because of the financial problems that the city had, so we kind of lacked in some areas.
So you're estimating you're gonna need to stock up on supplies,
Yeah,
so
so
like
I want to leave that at 500.
I think that sounds reasonable.
Postage,
I'm seeing zeros here, I'm guessing we're just using the city's machine.
yeah, we are, and I talked to Mr. Fleming about this a long time ago. To make sure that court pays their share. I believe in that. You know, don't want a free ride, I'll take a free ride, but I don't want one.
Okay.
But I think the court should, spend their money.
What kind of volume of mail do you have going
Oh,
out on a monthly
it all
basis?
depends on how much, 1 month, it could be 100 letters.
And other months, would that be a high? Would it be a high or would that be a low?
That would be a medium.
That would be a medium.
It depends on how many people you have to send a past due notice to, otherwise late fee, and then pay the fines, or,
Does the court recoup costs from,
no,
they don't recoup costs in that in any way? Okay.
no, because it's not in an ordinance.
Should it be in an ordinance?
If it's in an ordinance, we can collect it. Everything that the court gets, we have to have an ordinance for it.
So it sounds like the legislative body here has some work to do. I wonder if there's any organizations out there that can help us. Does anybody know of any organizations out there that helps with code?
I think she might be able to
So
help.
that was, John, was that never in the traffic model code? Never had anything like that?
Since we're on codes, we'll check the codes if you don't mind.
Okay.
Our codes are so far outdated, there's going to be a time, and I hate to say this in front of the prosecutor, the new prosecutor, but there's going to be a time he needs not show up, because there will be no cases. Because we've got to update. We've got, Senate Bill 5 put us in a whack. Used to, it was $500. Now it's $225. That's included.
And that's including the court costs, where you're running into trouble trying to recollect your postage and everything to get over that number too, so.
Yeah,
So I think this just kind of adds an emphasis to the need of the council to
very much
look
so.
into.
Very
Okay?
much so, sir.
Today we had was.
Sir, we have the same issues with the police department as far as recoups. Whether it's DWIs, whether it's drug test kits, et cetera. We don't have an ordinance.
Well, Gary,
Yes, there is.
make sure, please bring that up
We have a
on
partial
Yes.
ordinance.
There's
Thursday.
a partial, but
Please bring that up on Thursday, since it pertains to the police department, but it's good to know, so there is some, make some to-do lists. Put that on our to-do list.
because when, in the marshal's defense and everything, when it comes to recouping, I have to have something in writing to say that I can recoup this and I can recoup that. And then I can do it.
Well, and in moving forward, it's good to know what our target is,
Yes.
so this is good knowledge, and let me go back, circle back here to postage expense, how much would you estimate?
Uh,
Or if the city clerk wants to chime in on how much a percentage we should throw down?
I appreciate his chiming in, because I don't know.
Not for the department, it'd be nice to do, you know.
So we need to update our machine too. If you were just to throw out a rough number, Jesse, what would you throw out as far as court?
I would say probably that's $50.
Okay. Let's go with that, 150. And then we can look
I think
into,
it's a little bit higher.
Maybe.
Yeah.
well, for now, let's put 150 and we can look and see if we can find details and also see if we can get our machine to start coding correctly.
We have no court phone, however, there is a phone. And I pay nothing. I'm not buzzing. I'm saying, I gotta get that mouse out of my pocket.
Okay.
The court pays nothing for a phone. Having that said, there is a phone.
There is a phone. At this point, nobody has ever sat down with this council, as I said, to allocate, before it was the police department's phone, and that's what they worked off of, police department / court. Now Kathy has moved over, she does have a court phone, and we need to look at our phone bill that come in, and somewhere along the line, designate her a amount, and I'm not sure what that number would be.
Would 150 also be appropriate adjustment tonight? That'd be way too low.
Not even close.
500?
I'd say more than that. I pay the court phone right now.
Yeah.
And I'm paying like
Well, he's gonna.
$4,000 or $5,000 a year.
How much is there?
4,000 or 5,000 a year.
For the court phone?
I mean, it's not cheap. Ask Jesse.
Phones are high. If I had to make just a general guess.
Sure, just a general
I would
guess.
say maybe $800.
4,800.
And we'll go for
Yeah, because I split it with City Hall and it's pretty high.
48.
28, that's what I'm looking at right now.
28. I like 28 better than 48.
Yeah.
Go 28.
I like that 150 better than that.
Can't go back, no.
You can't
That
go
was
back.
left. That was there and it left, so. we're almost moving.
Sorry, it's been seconded.
Maybe I shouldn't have said no.
So, bailiff, there's a
The
bunch of
bailiff.
zeros and an 800
The
here.
bailiff. We talked about this several times. The bailiff is on me,
Okay.
yes, on the court.
So let me ask this, is there only one person who acts as bailiff or there's
Yeah,
many?
only one.
There's only one, okay.
There's only one. However, if he doesn't show, then
Then I donate.
he donates.
Okay.
And that's exactly what it is, if you donate.
The,
I can only put in one person, I guess I could several, I don't know, but one person, only, if you don't show, then it comes out of the police department.
which I think is unfair.
And I'm okay with that. I allocate extra just for that. And these like council meetings and the setting, I plan for that.
So
You
is,
typically have your officers there to testify in your often?
Yes, I require all officers at court anyway, but however, they cannot act as bailiffs under the new laws. We have to have a designated bailiff not in uniform.
so is this number for bailiff, is
Okay.
it salary only or are you going to put equipment into this? Because I think I know where you're going.
No, that's salary only.
Doesn't the bailiff require equipment as well?
I
He's
provide
already
that.
got equipment from him. He didn't.
We can address all this online on Thursday.
Okay.
So as far as the bailiff salary, how much will you be estimating for?
800.
Okay.
Because now we got, as I was saying, I talked to Mr. Fleming. He is taking the bailiff's salary out of the marshal pay, and it's shifting out of this.
We need to code it correctly, so that's where the.
Well, I think it's coded correctly, I just don't have the farthest idea,
Okay.
you know.
And then going on to travel.
Sure.
Again,
What do you base that 800 on?
Judge,
I'm
what do you
looking
base
at
it?
5 hours a month,
5?
yeah.
We only have court for 2.
Well, sometimes we have it for longer, and sometimes we have it for shorter.
And we only have it once a month.
I know that.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, because it's $300.
$300.
I pay him $13 an hour. 2 hours a month for 12 months.
For how many?
2 hours a month for 12 months. How's it getting ripped up?
Because I know sometimes we go 3 hours, and sometimes we like to go 12:30 in the morning.
So
I understand that. What I'm saying is, for court, when I do payroll, because I do his timesheets, 2 hours comes from you. The rest of it I eat. Isn't that correct, Justin?
So there may be.
So $300 a year is court. The rest of it is mine.
I would say we need to be careful estimating just 2 hours. Estimating 3 hours a month would be better,
I'd go 5.
and you want to go 5.
Yeah.
What would be your reason? What's your reasoning behind
My
5?
reason is because, as I said, sometimes work can go long, and sometimes it can.
Well, my thing is, it's not a matter of estimating. It's a matter of what are we going to do. I mean, I give him a standard 2 hours. If you want it to be a standard 4 hours, then make it a standard 4 hours. But it can't be an estimate.
I think we just need to start tracking how long courts really run it on behalf of the city.
Or is he going to be completely paid by the court?
The bailiff should be completely paid by the court. Bailiff hours. So if an employee goes and works as a bailiff, any hours working as a bailiff falls under the court budget.
So, I propose the judge takes over his timesheet and sets his hourly wage because he works for him.
So we'll have 2 different
And
hours.
I carry his commission code.
Say that again, I didn't catch that part.
All I'll maintain is his commission code.
Yeah.
Because I've had to differentiate, like when he comes and does security for council meetings, that comes off of mine. We had to draw a line with Jesse on how do we pay him. So we set it just at 2 hours for court, the rest of it I paid to be at council meetings.
So since the bailiff is already an employee and part of the PD, then maybe it makes sense for the bailiff to fall under the PD's budget fully. Is there any problem with that reflecting that in our budget?
I don't have an issue, like I said, it's $300.
I don't either. That's-
Okay, so let's put bailiff under the PD. 0120. Okay. I think that makes more sense. We're trying to split too many. In a lot of other cities, correct me if I'm wrong, a bailiff is kind of a full-time job, but here we have a PD officer being a bailiff part-time, is that correct?
Correct.
We'll let Gary know. He'll be on Gary now. Moving on to travel expense,
Well, I
Judge.
never got it taken out of my budget anyway. I'd be happy to give it back to him.
Yeah, all we're doing is giving a line item back, because there's no, it's.
It wasn't being taken out?
On mine.
No, clearly it needed to be moved from one up. All right, so travel. What do you estimate for travel?
Again, I had, crap. I had budgeted $950. Again, it's all up here at the very top.
Well, I was hoping it's because you didn't go anywhere to save us money.
No, I spent
Use your
$2 million, you just ain't got the,
Don't say that.
uh,
Don't say that, Judge.
mileage, you're looking at.
And what is this travel? Just expound on travel is for,
For all court, like I go to the lake 3 days a year for my annual conference. I did not go to Springfield for the district conference.
travel's taking into account the need for hotels?
No, no. Well, yeah, it would be, yeah. Because I don't have hotels on there.
No, there's not a line item for hotels.
Okay,
So travel we're looking at in general is to get you and the court clerk to
we're
education
looking
lodging.
at, this year alone, I'm gonna have to have this in my head. $614.
Will you be spending any more this year?
No.
Okay, so what would you like to estimate for next year?
Let's go 7.
700?
That,
To encapsulate increased cost of travel in case fuel or oil rises.
we don't charge for gas.
So, okay. Are there any questions from the council? FICA Medicare, we wrote 1,600 as a placeholder, and then the office is going to work through 2 separate
Well, if you
numbers.
look at the,
Go ahead, Josh.
if you put FICA Medicare at 1,600, and we've already expended 163408, you're under.
I'm saying 1,559.
Just you ran this about 2 months ago.
So we're gonna go, so I guess go 17, 17 probably closer. And what we'll do is we'll have them run hard numbers. Because we need to go as far as salaries, and then one set of numbers for if there's just one court clerk, and then another set if there's a backup added. So that we part of the conversation.
Would you go with loggers?
Loggers, I wrote down 2,200 as a placeholder. 23, let's go 23, just.
Let's go 25.
25, okay. 25.
Yeah, you just have that buffer. You've got to have a buffer.
And then, now these aren't final numbers.
No, I
Okay.
understand that.
These are just to get estimates and so we can go over in more detail. Judge, do you feel there's anything that the courts need and they're not getting, or do you feel there's anything else that we should be including in this budget? Are there any line items that are not included that should be?
Actually, no, because the court does not, as you can see, the court really doesn't spend any money. It's just only when it asks. All right? There's other issues of as I mentioned earlier, due to the financial conditions of the city and the office supplies. I know this isn't correct, $92.99, because we got 4 packs of backup cards.
Of what? 4 packs of what?
Backup cards, they're blue cards that they turn on.
Okay.
And they attach a ticket to it. I, as a judge, write down fines and all that. But I don't know how much they cost. Didn't you get them, sir?
No.
No, not you.
Robert,
Robert.
They'd be close to our Elkin Sawyer bill.
Be about $115, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I got a ream of each,
Yeah.
four different ones, if I remember.
So
Okay.
we're $115 off on that 92.
Well, I put a star by it to look further into it, and
We need to get in. We didn't get in.
say that again.
We need to ink.
Toner.
Toner. We didn't get any, so we're using, the clerk went and bought her own.
So looking to next year, we need to make sure that the office supplies are available, the money for budget
Yeah.
analysis is available to courts. All right, Judge, we appreciate you coming down here. One last call. See if there's any other questions, comments? It looks like I'm getting no's. All right, thank you. This ends our workshop. Thank you.
Okay.